You alright, man? There's a ghost in the hallway.
What?
Yeah.
Stop being a dickhead.
I'm not kidding. Take a look.
What the fuck?
Told you.
Okay, what the hell are we supposed to do about that?
Well, I figured as long as it's here, we could charge it some rent.
Dude, come on, I'm being serious.
So am I. This is my 16th cereal lunch.
Okay, look, just shut up a second, okay? I think I know someone who I could call. Okay, how does the song go again? If there's something strange in your neighborhood, who are you gonna call? That's it. Ty Stuckins! Wait a second, that's not right.
Well, whoever you're trying to call, better be a priest.
Why's that?
Nope, fuck that. I'm out of here. You're on your own, buddy. I'm not happening. No, see yourself, but I got an idea. Hey, baby, does that torso move like that head or what?
What's going on, guys? I freaking love Ghostbusters. A series filled with action, comedy, ghosts, and Garfield? I don't care what anyone says, I actually really like the Garfield movie, so fuck off. Bill Murray did an exceptional job. Ghostbusters had such a cultural impact when it came out in the 80s, and in terms of that impact, it's definitely up there with the likes of Star Wars, Back to the Future, and K-9. Remember K-9? Jim Belushi traded out Arnold Schwarzenegger for a dog? Yeah, at least a dog won't commit infidelity.
Besides the film just being a spectacle of practical and visual effects, it really stands out because of the characters in the film and the casting of them being just perfect. Like, you cannot see anyone else playing these characters. Bill Murray is hilarious as Venkman, always sarcastic and consistently chasing tail, but still there to kick some ass.
We came, we saw, we kicked its ass!
Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis as Ray and Egon play off each other perfectly, and it's always hilarious to see them trading science mumbo-jumbo between one another.
You think there's a connection between this Vigo character and the slime?
It's the atomic weight of cobalt, 58.9.
And Ernie Hudson as Winston plays a perfect straight man. Not to say he isn't funny, because that's not true.
Ray, when someone asks you if you're a god, you say yes!
He just plays the part of how any normal person would react to these events. And with them all together, they work off each other excellently. And not to forget the other characters like Dana, Lewis, and Janine, who are all amazing as well. Not gonna lie though, Sigourney Weaver in this scene is... respectfully.
So actually, after 2 films, people were really hoping for a Ghostbusters 3, even though the reception for number 2 wasn't the best. Frankly, I think it's a good movie. Definitely not as good as the first one, because it does carry a bit of that sequelitis to me, but I really can't watch Ghostbusters 1 without then following it up with Ghostbusters 2.
Plus those costumes are freaking sweet, Lois. That was the worst Peter Griffin impression ever.
With the bad reception of Ghostbusters 2, it made it really hard to sign on for another Ghostbusters film. Though it wasn't like they hadn't tried.
Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis were always trying to get something worked out, with different ideas tossed around, but nothing ever stuck. And specifically, Bill Murray was not at all interested until he could be shown a script that really grabbed him. So time went on, and Ghostbusters 3 seemed like it was going to be a lost cause. Until 2006, where a company called Zootfly started developing a Ghostbusters game. They hadn't secured the rights to the use of the Ghostbusters, so the game ended up continuing development under a different name called Tymo, until it was just inevitably cancelled. But that's where Vivendi Games jumped in and pitched the idea to Sony, using the fan positivity from the Zootfly demo as justification for actually making the game. And with the game successfully pitched and going into production, Terminal Reality were brought on board to develop the game. Terminal Reality had quite a few games under their belt, with the most notable probably being Blood Rain and Blood Rain 2. The game jumped hands a little bit and was stuck in limbo due to some company mergers, but was eventually picked back up by Atari and was back into development. One of the most important parts of the production was the fact that Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis came on as writers. Cause like, who else would you want to write a Ghostbusters game?
You ignorant, disgusting pleb! You're nothing but an unstable short-chain molecule!
They got to explore parts of the Ghostbusters story that they never got a chance to, as well as using concepts from their unreleased Ghostbusters 3 project, Hellbent. Now this all sounds really cool, and to add to it even more, Bill Murray and Ernie Hudson were on board to voice their characters. Okay, yes, the boys are back.
So look, I'm really excited to play this game. it looks like it could possibly be the Ghostbusters 3 that everyone wanted. And look, in saying that, I know we did technically get a Ghostbusters 3 with Afterlife, but that definitely continues the storyline as other legacy sequels have done in the past, like Star Wars for instance. But this is the last piece of Ghostbusters content that all the Ghostbusters were attached to, and I'm really excited to see what it has in store for me. But in saying that, I do really like Afterlife, and I am really excited to go and see Frozen Empire. In fact, speaking of Frozen Empire, this video is sponsored by... No, what? No, it's not. What are you talking about? We got a letter saying that it was. Oh, wait, this letter? Why don't you read it again?
Our dearest Arjayy, of course we will sponsor you in your wee little baby channel. And hey, whilst we're at it, we'll fly you out to the premiere and give you 5 days of accommodation completely free. We appreciate you giving back to us with your measly viewer count. It makes a difference. Kindest regards, Sony Pictures. P.S. Obviously this is sarcasm. Piss off, stop contacting us or we will revoke your Ghostbusters privileges.
Revoke my Ghostbusters privileges? What the hell is even that? I don't know, but they sound pretty serious about it. As your lawyer, who you can't afford, I suggest you just stop. Well, okay. No more time for depression, because we got nuts that need busted. Ghosts.
So the game loads up and... Moving on from being jump scared by a fucking company's title card, we get the Columbia Pictures and Sony Pictures cards, which honestly makes me feel warm inside. Like I've just snuggled up in a blanket with some popcorn on a cold, drizzly day.
No jokes here. Just relaxation.
We arrive at the main menu, and I think it's really cool that they use the firehouse to display different selections. Plus, that main menu theme in the background is perfect. The music in this game was composed by Chris Rickwood, and I really think he does it justice. Loading into the game, we get another Columbia Pictures logo, this time being the original logo from the 80s, which again, just makes me feel all warm inside. Then we get this really cool cutscene, which is a recreation of the advertisement the Ghostbusters made to promote themselves in the first film. It's a nice little touch, a little bit sillier, but it's our first look at 3 of the 4 Ghostbusters in the game, and I think they look pretty good considering the game is 15 years old? Oh god, I think I just dislocated my hip. We zoom out as we see the security guard being jump scared by a ghost on the security camera. He alerts the other guard that something is going on near the Gozer exhibit, where they then start to speak about Ivo Shandor, who happened to donate all the items to the museum. Shandor gets a brief mention in the first movie being a Gozer worshipper who was behind the construction of Dana's building, which in turn leads to the events of that film. He also appears in Afterlife, played by J. Jonah Jameson. As the guard searches around, he is jump scared by... And then a mysterious woman runs past him. As he tries to stop her, he then gets jumped by the apparition, and a huge blast of supernatural energy is sent out, which leads us into a title card. Oh, and that's 1 for the count.
Dude, this intro tickles me. It feels exactly like when I'm watching Ghostbusters. I feel like I'm going to be saying stuff like that a lot.
We get a funny little scene here with Janine on the phone.
What? No, we do not summon dead family members and catch them, so you can ask the combination to the safe.
She doesn't look too much like Annie Potts, but the voice is obviously spot on, so I'm okay with it. Plus, Slimer doing the mentalism cards that Peter uses in the first movie to reel in some punani. Respectfully. We're then introduced to the Ghostbusters as a new recruit, which I was a bit apprehensive about. Like, damn man, I wanted to play as one of the Ghostbusters, not some noob who has never used a proton pack in his life. Plus, bro is ugly, man. Dude doesn't even look real. Actually, he does look a little familiar. Huh, where have I seen that face before?
Oh! Jesus Christ, who put that mirror next to me?
So we all get suited up just as the shockwave from earlier blows through, which allows Slimer to break the glass of his holding cell and break loose. We locate Slimer down in the basement and we get to use our proton stream for the first time. Honestly, it works exactly the way you would want it to. You initially need to weaken the enemy by hitting it with a steady stream and take down its health, but as you do, the pack will need to be vented of energy as it overheats. Think of it like reloading. Unfortunately, Slimer, like me, knows how to make an exit. Unexpectedly.
Right? I couldn't be more excited. And what a name. Shadow of the Erd Tree. Fantastic. Mwah! I love it. Hey, where the hell's Arjayy? Oh, I'd already planned to leave when I got here. So...
Fortunately though, the ghost that was released from the containment unit appears just in time for some target practice. We start chipping away at his health and he'll eventually become weak enough to wrangle in. You'll need to throw down a ghost trap in order to capture it, which is the same button as what reload would be in other games. So I keep accidentally going to reload and just...
Croissant.
This part is quite fun as you need to use the right analog stick to move the ghost around and keep it held over the ghost trap in order for it to get caught. Hold it in place as it gets sucked in and boom, you've just captured your first ghost.
And let me tell you, this gets really addicting. Something about the actions and the way it controls really makes you feel like a Ghostbuster. The best way I could compare it is to like Insomniac's Spider-Man, where the web swinging makes you feel like Spider-Man. And in this, you feel like a Blues Brother. Wait a fucking second.
The game actually plays similarly to, say, Gears of War, just a little bit more simplistic. Like, there's no cover system or ADS, but the overall control feels the same. Plus, it has a sprint feature which works almost identically to Gears, and it controls just as shit too.
God, just want to get the nail.
The goal of each level is to complete a main objective, and whilst doing so, capture the waves of ghosts that get in the way. Now, it may seem simple when I say it like that, but I promise you it's a hell of a lot of fun. Though the levels are linear, you also do get a little bit of exploration you can do on each level. In this one, the goal is to track down Slimer, and you do so with the PKE meter. It puts you in a first-person perspective so you can see things a little bit closer. You use the meter to search for clues as to ghost locations, you can also scan ghosts with it, as well as find little collectibles littered around the map. And these collectibles are nods to the series, like a little Stay Puft, Eleanor Twitty's portrait, and a Ghostbusters DVD. I feel like this would cause the space-time continuum to legitimately empty its ass. Along with capturing ghosts, you will also come across other types of enemies. Some of these can't be captured and need to be taken down in other ways. All can be destroyed with a regular proton beam, but as you go along, you can upgrade the proton pack. One of the first upgrades is a projectile called the Boson Dart, which is science talk for Explodey Ball. This takes out a fair bit of health from the enemies, but the issue is it's a bit slow. So if you are trying to hit some faster moving ghosts, you aren't guaranteed to hit them. You'll end up spending a lot of time venting the pack and waiting before you can try again. And by that point, you're gonna be... It is really good to take out smaller hordes of enemies like these marshmallow dogs, but when you come across some of the bigger enemies, it is really helpful to knock them down a bit. Plus, it's not just the proton stream that you can upgrade, you also unlock new weapons to use as you continue the story. Some of these are really cool, like you get this one called a stasis stream, which you'll use to freeze enemies in place for a short time. There are certain parts where you just get absolutely barraged with enemies, so it really helps to slow them down. And it has an alternate mode, which is pretty much a catch me here with my Remington Poltergeist Exterminator 870. Whee! Mixing the two together allows you to become Sub-Zero and just shatter these ghosts to pieces. Or Jason Voorhees, whichever one tickles your pickle. The next one is the Slime Blower. It's pretty similar to what they used in Ghostbusters 2, which is pretty cool, but it's way more refined here. And it's a really useful attack, honestly, as you'll need it to shut down these little ghost portals in certain areas to stop them from coming through. But as a weapon, I actually use it a fair bit more than I expected. As great as the proton stream is, the Slime Blower seemed to do more consistent damage to enemies. And just like the rest, it does have an alternate function, which is the Slime Tether. It's mainly needed for certain puzzles during the game, like this part where you need to move these floating platforms, or here we need to bring these little flying angel Cupid statues crashing down to this gate in order to open it. Which, whilst I'm on it, fuck these stupid things, they can suck the puff of air from my balls as I sit down. The final one, and I apologize for doing this again. Yeehaw! Got me a PR-15, a Poltergeist Ravager 15. The 15 stands for the amount of dicks these damn ghosts will be sucking down in hell. Whee! Okay, seriously though, this thing is kind of like an assault rifle where it fires multiple weaker rounds, but I found it to be pretty pointless until I realized its alternate mode fires like a rifle bullet, which can also be used as a tracker for the regular mode. But yeah, compared to the other ones, this one sucks. With all these upgrades to the proton pack, I was honestly happy to use the proton stream for most of it. It just felt the coolest to use, and it's iconic. Well, that was until I actually realized a dangerous side effect, so here's a tip. When you are in battles with ghosts, there is one key thing you need to be cautious of. Don't cross the streams. You'll be told this quite frequently during your gameplay. Honestly, I hadn't even noticed until one of the sessions where I was recording with headphones, and Egon just wouldn't shut the fuck up about it.
You don't want to cross the streams. Avoid crossing the streams. I understand the urge to experiment, but crossing the streams is a terrible idea.
Egon, you sweet prince, shut the fuck up. Have some vodka.
Sippy, sippy, sippy. But he is serious about it though. If you cross the streams, you will get knocked on your ass. Hell, I legitimately got hit with it in the opening tutorial. Even got an achievement for it. Congratulations, you fucked up. So if you do prefer the Proton stream, just be wary of it because it is really easy to start crossing the streams and getting yourself sent to Gary's mod.
One of the downsides to the gameplay is that you will spend a lot of your time alone, because for some reason the other Ghostbusters just forgot how to be Ghostbusters. Was it that long of a hiatus, guys? I'm practically playing Washed Up Actor Simulator. Oh, okay, come on now, it was only a joke. Jesus. Crystal Skull vodka, anyone? No? Just me? Okay.
This could be genuinely frustrating because you could be on your A game, but all the other Ghostbusters are down, so you need to head over to revive them, but get taken out in the process. Playing through this, you'll just give up sometimes and pull an Optimus Prime and hit them all with the "I'll take you all on." I wanted to say that myself because I thought I could do an Optimus Prime impression. I don't know how it sounds. So throughout the levels, you'll get to mini bosses that you'll need to fight, destroy, or capture in order to progress. One of the recurring are these golem enemies. They're actually pretty easy to beat. You just need to weaken it enough while dodging its attacks, and eventually rip its head off and it just fucking explodes. Where I was worried that these enemies would just keep popping up as the main boss for each level because they just couldn't think of anything else, fortunately, that isn't the case. Around halfway through this game, there is a sort of shift in the gameplay. Initially, the game starts off very fan service heavy, focusing on hunting Slimer in the exact same way as the first movie, being chased through the city by Stay Puft in his absolutely horrifying face, and hitting up the library from the first film to chase down Eleanor Twitty. These things are really cool. It's fun being able to chase down Slimer. It sits well with any fan, and Bill Murray getting slimed again after purposely trying his hardest to not get slimed is hilarious.
How did this even happen? I was covering the elevators!
And hell, there is nothing I've wanted more than to be able to fight the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. But again, these parts feel very fan servicey. I couldn't track down a real storyline initially because it just felt like they were rehashing old scenes but in the form of a video game. But then during the mission where you're in the library tracking Eleanor Twitty, things start to change. You actually encounter some really creepy moments in the gameplay. Everything gets darker, you actually get jump scared a few times, you even end up in a creepy children's section where the sounds of ghost children can be heard. And that gets a certified fuck no from me. Eventually, you locate Eleanor and fight her. Her boss fight is pretty basic, requiring you to take out these book stands protecting her. Once that's done, you just take down her health and trap her like any other ghost. But it all seemed to be too easy, which is completely purposeful as we are then sent to an alternate ghost dimension. Now, this place is damn awesome to be in. And it's here where I can start to see what Dan and Harold wanted to get across. The things they couldn't have been able to manage in live action back in the day, being fully realized one way or another. To navigate your way through the ghost dimension, you'll need to get through certain portals, but you'll have enemies getting in your way at many points, like the book golems from earlier, and these quick little bastards in floating evil books. Quick, are you being attacked by Goosebumps or Necronomicons? Incorrect, it's 6,000 copies of 50 Shades of Grey trying to get you to read them. I'm sure with the right company, Ray wouldn't mind. And all this leads up to is an absolutely unexpected boss fight with an entity called the Collector. And dude, this fight is surprisingly awesome and a little bit difficult. In concept, it's not too hard. Just keep hitting him with attacks until he's dead. But the issue is, his attacks will absolutely obliterate you if you aren't careful. And bringing up the Ghostbusters failing at being Ghostbusters again, Ray and Egon spend 90% of their time on their asses, meaning it's real easy to get a mission failed just because they can't keep their shit together. Probably because they just got done watching Coneheads and both felt bad for Dan Aykroyd's career.
What have you done to your cone?
But there is a way to cheese the fight. If you enter these portals, you will keep ending up behind the Collector, meaning you'll get a few moments each time to get some hits in on him. Rinse and repeat, and he is down. From here on out, this is where the game goes fully in on the Hellbent storyline, from what I can tell. And this is where the story really takes off. Basically, all of the locations that you have traveled to are revealed to be Mandala nodes, which are all parts of an overall Mandala map, which feed power into one specific location where Gozer is supposed to rise again. Shandor was the one behind setting these nodes up. similar to what he did with Dana's building in the first movie. So the goal is to take out any main ghost at the locations of the nodes, which then destroys them. And this leads to some really cool locations. Like this level where you're going through the museum, which is never disclosed as the Met, but I think it's the Met.
Yeah, go the Mets, baby! Let's go!
That's not what
Go
I'm
the
talking
Mets!
about. And here you fight some really interesting enemies, like as a part of the Civil War exhibit, you get to fight entrapped Confederate and Union ghost soldiers. Or throughout the other exhibits, mannequins are possessed and start attacking you, like these Egyptian ones, which are kind of intimidating if I'm being honest. Not to mention there is a part where you return to the Sedgwick Hotel as it is revealed to be a location of another node, which is now taken over by spiders.
Oh, God. Ugh. I feel like they're on me. Look, I know I live in Australia, but I'm an arachnophobic. And that's kind of like having a shower when you're afraid of water. It fucking sucks is what I'm trying to say.
And yeah, I was scared of these things, until I realized they sounded a bit like Eric Cartman.
Behind you!
But we then have to face off against the boss, which is known as the Spider Witch. More like Spider Bitch. And look man, I just said spiders freak me out. Can't do them, but this chick has me a little bit like...
I can make this work.
Now look, I need your opinion. Who is more fuckable? Spider Witch from Ghostbusters, Quelaag from Dark Souls, or Spider Monkey from Spy Kids 2?
Put your hands together.
And even though I mentioned it earlier, the level in New York with Stay Puft is fun as hell. I really like this joke about the Hindenburg play.
Wasn't that show shut down when the stage caught fire and killed the cast?
I read the reviews. Oh, the humanity.
And getting to use the Ecto-1 as a ghost trap is really fun, and there is a good variety of different ghosts to capture. And again, it's just so iconic to fight Stay Puft, even if he is pure nightmare fuel. I have to give the developers props because this game, these levels are a load of fun. The different types of ghost designs, the mini bosses, the main bosses, and my god, the soundtrack is fantastic. I already mentioned the title screen music, but seriously, when they approached Chris Rickwood and said, hey man, make Ghostbusters music, and make it good, he definitely replied with, I bet. Some of these tracks are just invoking the scale the game is trying to convey, and I think it does it spot on. Never do the tracks feel out of place with the levels they're on, and the boss themes are perfectly crafted to make the experience as tense as possible. Not to mention the sound design is also very well done. Every weapon you use feels punchy and powerful, the sounds of ghosts lurking around is haunting and panic-inducing, the sounds of the ghost traps sucking up enemies, I swear, makes me feel like I'm getting sucked too. Wait, hold on a minute. And I have to say, I was pleasantly surprised that the voiceover performances from all the original actors were perfect to their characters. They do definitely give off that vibe of never having done voice acting before, but even at its worst moments, they still felt right and fit the characters. And I can't stress enough to you how perfect it is for Bill Murray. Is it phoned in? Or is it the most perfect takes? I can't fucking tell because that is Peter Venkman to a goddamn T. Everyone else was great, don't get me wrong, but the writing for Peter and Bill Murray's delivery are perfect.
Peter, come in.
Hi, honey. How was your day?
Look out! Slimer's escaped again!
No, wait. Come back. Say, is that him?
It's hard to miss.
I seriously cannot stress enough how many times Venkman's lines had me absolutely rolling. Plus, his womanizing ways have not changed as his attempts to woo one of the main characters, Alyssa, are typically shot down, until his charm does eventually win her over. Which, on that note, let's quickly talk about Alyssa. She is important to the story as she appeared at every one of the node locations without knowing why she was there. It is revealed that she herself is actually related to Ivo Shandor. So due to this, she now has relation to all of these locations, as the nodes were in fact set up by Shandor. So it makes sense as to why some parts revolve around Alyssa and the fact that she gets captured more times in a single game than goddamn Princess Peach.
Do you get off on being captured? You stupid bitch!
We now find ourselves nearing the end of the game. The Ghostbusters make their way to the final node, which is on a hidden island for Shandor's Gozer cult. Want to take a guess what it's called? If you said Shandor Island, you are not only correct, but you are genius.
If we're going to use that naming logic, I think we should change the name of Australia to Drunken British Invaders Island, with a splash of genocide.
The level itself is pretty well designed and looks amazing with all the different mechanical and gothic aesthetical choices. Getting through the level works the same as all the others, but I just wanted to note that the level design is still top notch here. Once we gather up all the Ghostbusters, we find a contraption that needs to be shut down called the Orrery. Orrery! Which unleashes the juvenile slaw.
Who the fuck
came up with these names, dude? What the hell? In order to defeat him, you have to destroy these eyeball things which are protecting the coleslaw from being hurt. Keep taking down his health little by little, continue sending the eyeballs back to the optometrist, and once you've done that, the racial slaw is destroyed. After a job well done, the Ghostbusters return to the firehouse only to see that things are in disarray. It seems that with the awareness of the Ghostbusters' plans, someone had destroyed the containment grid, releasing all the captured ghosts back into the city again. It was suspected that Peck from the first movie was actually behind trying to resurrect Gozer. So we're now on to the final level where we have to fight through a graveyard to reach the mausoleum in the center. This level actually gets pretty tricky at times, having to multitask smaller enemies running at you on the ground, ghosts floating in the air and shooting projectiles, and these giant grave monsters who can knock you down in one hit if you aren't careful. And I'll tell you that I started to get really frustrated at one point because I just kept dying and dying and dying. And I couldn't rely on Dan Aykroyd to back me up because he was too busy rehearsing his lines for Yogi Bear, I'm assuming.
I'm so smart it hurts. Yogi Bear.
Oh fuck yeah, can't wait to watch Yogi Bear in 3D. But after some trial and error, we beat the section and meet back up with the other Ghostbusters. And finally, all 5 are together at last to take out Gozer, once and for all. We reach the mausoleum and get to face off against the mayor? So it's revealed that Shandor possessed the mayor's body so he could properly put his plan in place. And his goal was not to resurrect Gozer, but to become Gozer himself. And in order to do so, he required blood of his own, which is where Alyssa needed to be kidnapped. So Shandor starts to power up, and you have to take him down and send him back into the ghost dimension. Similar to some of the other bosses, he has objects protecting him that you need to destroy in order to take him down. All whilst there is a tornado floating about, and the rest of the Ghostbusters passed out because they actually cameoed in the 2016 remake. But eventually these totems are destroyed and you get to drag Ivo back into the ghost dimension. And unfortunately, it's not enough to stop him. Shandor drags you and the rest of the Ghostbusters into the dimension with him. And here we encounter his final form, the Architect. Okay. This is epic.
Next meme.
Experiencing it like this makes me wish I could have seen how they would have handled it in live action with Hellbent. This fight is pretty damn badass, and I've always loved it when you have to fight an enemy that is gigantic in stature. It always feels so intimidating. It's why I like games like Shadow of the Colossus and, well, yeah, Elden Ring and Dark Souls games. Just big enemies. Cool stuff. Fighting the Architect is certainly harder than the other bosses, but it does function more or less the same. You drain his health a bit, which then he moves to the center of the level where you have to keep him from healing. You keep doing this over and over whilst trying to avoid his attacks, and also whilst trying to save the other Ghostbusters, because, you know what, I'll give them this one. This guy's actually pretty hard to fight, so no more jokes about their bad movies. Garfield, Tale 2, Kitties, Year 1, Blues Brothers 2000, Hood of Horror. Okay. I'm good. But after enough trial and error, it's time to take down the Architect, with one final attempt being to cross the streams one more time. This generates a huge shockwave which destroys the Architect and sends the Ghostbusters back to their world. And it's a happy ending. The Ghostbusters conquered the big baddie and Venkman gets to win over the girl. That's not the only time she's getting slimed tonight. Respectfully.
And that, ladies and gentlemen and non-binarians, was Ghostbusters, the video game. I seriously implore you to try out this game if you haven't, especially if you're a Ghostbusters fan. Hell, even if you aren't a Ghostbusters fan, watch the Ghostbusters movie, become a fan, and then play this game. It has everything you would want in a Ghostbusters story, plus it's fully interactive. I mean, honestly, in terms of ranking, this comes second place in the best Ghostbusters movie, beating out Ghostbusters 2. And with that being said, I do truly think that this is the Ghostbusters 3 that everybody deserved. Sure, it may not be accessible for people who aren't a fan of video games, but for those of us who are, we get an experience that you can't get anywhere else. A true Ghostbusting experience. So guys, without any hesitation at all, this game is going on the shelf. If you're one of the best forms of Ghostbusters media, I implore you to check that out. What the hell? Okay, I have no idea how the hell that got there, but if you want the quickest review possible on this, I'll tell you, it's going in the bin. What the fuck? I know what I have to do. These chicks are toast.
Hey everyone, wanted to thank you all for making it to the end of the video, and I gotta be honest with you, this was a really tricky video to make because I threw in quite a bit of different effects, and you know, this was the longest game I had to record, so it definitely proved a bit of a challenge, but I think it's pretty good. I enjoy it, so you know, not to sound like I'm tugging my own horn, but you know, I wanted to have it up before Ghostbusters Frozen Empire came out, and today is literally the day that movie comes out, so should be up tonight. And I just want to give a shout out to this comment here. Again, I love seeing stuff like this. It hits me right where I need it to keep me going and give me the drive I need to continue making these videos. So thank you very much. Anyway, guys, I hope you did all enjoy, and I'll see you all in the next one.